Thank you very much for joining this conversation. Can you please introduce yourself?
Nicholas Maragakis. I'm a professor of neurology at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland, USA, and I was one of the chairs for this year's annual meeting.
And I'm Ludo Van Den Bosch. I'm a professor in Leuven, Belgium, mainly focusing on basic research related to ALS, and I was co-chairing the panel this year.
Thank you. So you know AriSLA for a while. For how long have you been collaborating with us?
I did it forever, as far as I can remember. I think more than 10 years ago, I was present during the first panel meeting. I think I missed a few, but it was always a pleasure to come back and to evaluate the projects.
This is my 11th year looking back at my notes. I've had the opportunity to participate both as a remote reviewer, but also traveling to the AriSLA scientific office to participate over the years in a number of different ways.
So we had the two of you, we selected the two of you this year for chairing the meeting because of your complementary expertise in clinical and preclinical or basic sciences. So what was your experience in this work as chairs?
I think it was a very nice experience this year. I think we had a very nice panel with different expertises. We had, of course, we had some discussions. But it was clear that all expertises were present around the table, and then it's always nice to chair or to co-chair such a meeting.
I agree. I think there's a nice complement between individuals with both, clinical experience, who can focus on clinical trial design, but also some really amazing fundamental basic scientists. And so I think that provides a nice complement and a nice back and forth that allows us to really select the best proposals for funding.
So from our point of view, it was really a pleasure to listen to the in-depth discussion and very high quality of the scientific discussion. How is the panel behaving during a discussion of a proposal? Are the reviewers always in agreement? Are they keen to change their mind when they are in disagreement? How is it like?
I would say one of the most exciting things is I always learn a lot as part of these review panels. And so, most of us are colleagues, and this panel really is a well-respected and well-published group of both scientists and clinicians. So I think there's, again, a very important back and forth. I will say that the discussion was oftentimes, intense, but I think definitely very respectful of other people's opinions. I think a lot of investigators came to see their colleagues' opinions, and so yes, I think they're keen to change their minds or to move their scores according to what their colleagues see and what the data would suggest.
I completely agree. And I also think what is also important during these discussions is that, none of the people around the table have a real conflict of interest. So I think we always have these very open discussions where it is really about the science, about the value of the project, and not so much about, other things that have nothing to do with the quality of the science and of the quality of the project. So I think overall, I have at least a feeling that it's a very fair discussion and also an overall a fair process.
So we had in our call, we had admitted both full grants and pilot grants. These two types are very different in their essence, and this I think is also reflected in the way you can evaluate them. Can you just highlight briefly the pros and cons, or how difficult it is to evaluate them?
Well, it is two completely different kind of projects. And while in a way it is a bit easier, I think, to evaluate the full proposals, because there you have much more preliminary data. I must personally say that I like the pilot grants more, and there is also always more discussion about the pilot grants, because there I think we discovered that there are new people coming into the field, that there are new ideas that are formulated, and there, well, I think that could indeed lead to new discoveries. Having said that, it's also there where we have always the most discussions about what is really worth supporting and what is not. That's my opinion about it.
To echo what you've pointed out, Ludo, I think the pilot grants are a lot of fun to read, and I would encourage investigators to continue, even those outside the field, to propose ideas that, thinking outside the box, if you will, to suggest new ideas that we haven't, that we haven't always thought about. And sometimes those are the most interesting, most interesting proposals. I will say, from the standpoint of the full grants, what this committee, I think, is looking to do is ensure success and looking to feasibility of a lot of these full proposals. A lot of these are by very experienced investigators, and so I think there's a higher bar, if you will, to make sure that the scientific acumen is there to get an answer and to really push that field forward. So I feel like the full grants also, I was really pleased the way we selected the full grants. I think will be feasible and will get us to an answer.
So how was in general the research that you have been evaluating? How difficult it was to select the best projects?
Most problematic thing of all, and I think it's nothing new. It's something we experienced already over the years. I think the overall level of the research projects that we have to evaluate is very high. I think I'm always surprised that it is so difficult to make a selection. And I also think, and I think most of the panel members, or if not all, will agree with me, that we would of course like to support most of them or more of them, and that is of course I think the major frustration, maybe not only of the people that are applying, but I also think of the panel members, the reviewers, that the ones that are supported are very good, but there are also still a number of very good projects that unfortunately don't get the support that they might also deserve.
Having looked through my notes over the last 10 years or so, it's really clear that the level of science continues to improve really quite dramatically. And AriSLA is really part of a global community, and so it's clear that the scientists and clinicians who have put in these proposals are really aware of what's going on in this global ALS community. And so the level of research continues to go up. Again, I would agree that it is really challenging to select the best of some really, really good applications. And I think what we try to do is, the summaries that we make as a consensus group go back to the investigators, and so they can get a sense for how we felt about about the proposal, that they can make changes for the upcoming year and really make better projects. And in fact, we saw that with a number of the applications this year, where investigators had come back and answered the questions that previous consensus reviewers had made. So I'm very encouraged by that. So it's really challenging to select the funded grants.